Welcome back to Rarest Photos. Got the Faith of Elvis in my hand, and that's what we're going to read. That's why you clicked on this video. Thank you to those of you that have subscribed to me, all the great comments y'all leave. I appreciate it. Everybody appreciates it. I know Billy Stanley appreciates the wonderful comments, and so did Ronald McDowell. I mean, y'all were very kind to him. Michael Peterson, very kind to him. Just a reminder, Ronald McDowell, he's got a show on the 8th at Audubon Drive. There's still tickets available. Take a look at the link in the comments if you want to buy tickets. And if you can't be there, you can do a pay-per-view. It's $20 per household. It's very affordable. That way you can get the walkthrough of Audubon Drive and get to see Elvis's house, okay? And then if you happen to be in the Memphis area, you can go to the show on the 8th or the meet and greet on the 7th. That's at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites in Germantown, Tennessee. So without further ado, let's get to some reading because I got some catching up to do for y'all, right? You know? It's a very cold day out there. I've been seeing y'all talk about 15 inches of snow where you're at. We get a dusting. It's cold. But as you can see, we've got this stray little kitty. Y'all probably heard me talk about it with Derry, on the conversation with Derry. And y'all know I got 9 cats in the house and we've got a dog. And of course this kitty has been kind of in our neighborhood for a while and seems a bit injured, a bit skittish. So I finally, we've been feeding it for days and it's very cold outside. So I built something for it and I put a heater outside for it. And as you can see in this video, he actually went inside. His name is Binksy. My wife named him Binksy. Seems to be like an older cat. Anyhow, yeah, so let's get to reading. This chapter is called By and By. Now, anyone who knew Elvis could tell you that he was a loyal man. You might even say he was loyal to a fault. Were all of Elvis's movies blockbusters? Well, of course not. Did Elvis himself know many of his movies, especially in the second half of the 1960s, were not that good? Yeah, he did. Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis's manager from the beginning, had kept his promise to make Elvis successful. However, the Colonel, as he was known, had lost touch with the shift in popular tastes. People weren't as interested anymore in silly, predictable movies like the one that Elvis starred in most of the time. They had the same basic formula. Elvis usually played a bit of a rebel. He gets into a fight, and he wins the girl. He sings a lot of songs along the way, and there's always a happy ending, it seems to be. Between 1956 and 69, Elvis made a staggering 33 films, a lightning-fast pace by modern standards. But by the mid-60s, he had gotten tired of doing the same kind of movies. He was at a point in his career where he wanted more dramatic roles. Well, and let me talk about the Colonel had lost touch with the shift in popular tastes. First off, the Colonel never knew it. The Colonel was lucky that he stumbled upon Elvis. Elvis was doing his thing. Colonel didn't do anything besides let Elvis do his thing. And in a sense, he had to kind of make him homogenous enough for national TV, and I'm sure he was behind the waist up sort of a thing as well. But he jumped on the bandwagon. He was good at what he did. He was great at what he did. And then when Elvis went in the Army, I think that was probably calculated to get him in there to introduce him to America as a wholesome individual that's a war hero, even though Elvis wasn't in a war, a hero. When you think about the military and doing your duty, you become a good son to America. And so, he was already making movies before that were popular, so it's not like anything that Colonel Parker did get him in the movies. But the whole trend thing, I mean, Parker wouldn't know what a trend was if it hit him in the caboose and knocked him forward. He'd turn around and go, "What was that?" He just had no clue. All right. As Elvis's manager, the Colonel was supposed to be looking out for Elvis and creating new and exciting opportunities for him. Billy said, but he no longer had his finger on the pulse of the entertainment as he once had. Elvis's movies still made money, even though no one considered them to be serious entertainment. As someone once said, the only sure thing in Hollywood was an Elvis movie. His movies made money so more movies could be made. It was an endlessly repeating loop, but it was in danger of becoming more and more irrelevant. Tired, folks. Irrelevant. Elvis is best known for his music, but he was a gifted actor. I witnessed this firsthand, not just on movie sets with Elvis, but also at Graceland. He would read lines and memorize speeches and recite them. He also acted out the Bible for us sometimes, reading it and then portraying different characters in the passage. Billy, on one of our conversations, shared that Elvis was a little rough on one of the guys. And Billy kind of thought that, gee, Elvis, why were you so rough and why were you so mean? And Elvis said, I was just acting. I have to be that way sometimes to kind of keep them in line so they don't kind of walk all over you, all over them in a sense, The whole phrase familiarity breeds contempt. They were employees. They had things to do, jobs to do. They were getting paid for. And, Elvis expected them to do it. And sometimes they got lazy and didn't want to do it. But he was a good actor, Billy said. Billy really believed it. But, Elvis took him aside and said that. All right, so his movie co-stars were also sometimes surprised at the range of his acting. After Elvis passed away, his King Creole's co-star, Walter Matthau, commented, he was an instinctive actor. He was very elegant, sedate, and refined, and sophisticated. I love Walter Matthau, not just because he said that, but what's him and Jack Lemmon? What's the movies that he was in? And Anna Margaret was in one as well. Grumpy Old Man and Grumpy Old Man. Oh, great. And of course, Walter did a great job as a tough guy in that movie. So for him to say he was an instinctive actor, he was very elegant, sedate, and refined and sophisticated, that spoke well of Elvis, that Walter Matthau said that. Other actors and co-stars made similar comments. Now, many people considered Elvis quite a good actor, but he rarely had the opportunity for better roles due to the agreements locked in by the Colonel, who wanted him to stick with the predictable mom and apple pie roles. One notable exception was 1969's Charles, which happens to be my favorite. I would say it's my top 2 or 3. That, King Creole, and Jailhouse Rock. My wife loves clam bake. Clam bake, gonna have a clam bake. And of course I love that, you give your hand to me, and then you say hello. I love that song. And I can hardly speak. My heart is beating so beautiful. One of my favorite Elvis songs from a movie. And anyone can tell. I used to sing it to my wife when we were dating. You think you know me well, but you don't know me. Anyways, hopefully I don't get some sort of a copyright thing for that one. Might have sang too much of that. All right. Hey, what do you know? We're going to be talking about clam bake shortly. So one notable exception was 1969's Charles, a Western in the vibe of Sergio Leone's classic The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Elvis was excited to play a different kind of role and in fact grew a full beard for the movie. The only time he ever did this. Charles was also the only movie where Elvis did not sing on screen. It was an attempt at a little bit of a serious acting. Elvis told me, I thought I was really going to have a chance. Elvis told me, I thought I was really going to have a chance to do something serious here. But every time I had the chance to do something exciting, like draw my gun, instead of drawing it, I just had to give him a dirty look. And then he started to laugh. Elvis didn't think much of his own movies. But there were other actors' movies that he loved, like Dirty Harry. He wanted to play the lead in Barbra Streisand's A Star is Born, but Colonel Parker, well, he killed that possibility. The Colonel thought it was too different from Elvis's type of movie role. So that's a little bit different than we've heard. And of course, Billy, Billy was around. Was it just that? Was it just different from Elvis's type of movie role, or was it the billing, not getting top billing? Was it maybe Elvis didn't want to play that subject? The rock star that was hooked on and addicted, maybe it was, even though, Billy's he's very adamant that Elvis was not an addict. That Elvis took these prescription and medications for all the health issues that he had. And he had a lot of them. So I want to make sure that that we stay along those lines, because I don't think Elvis was trying to abuse anything. He was trying to survive. That's my opinion. He was trying to survive. He was trying to make it to the next show, to the next day, to the next week. But But I like hearing that take, that Colonel thought it was too different from Elvis's usual type of movie role, because that's not the take that's put out there as much. Despite his frustrations, Elvis tried to enjoy his time as a movie star. I remember him talking about a conversation he'd had with co-star Shelley Fabares, I think that's how you say it, on the set of Clambake. And she sang, Johnny Angel, how I love him. I love that song when I was growing up. And of course, I was kind of like an outlier kind of a kid. I mean, here I am growing up in the 80s, and I'm listening to Johnny Angel and Louis Armstrong and Kenny Rogers and Elvis and all that stuff. And everybody else was listening to Guns N' Roses and all those hair bands. So I remember him talking about a conversation he'd had with his co-star Shelley on the set of Clambake. He said, sweetie, we're not going to win an Academy Award doing this stuff, so let's make it fun. And that's exactly what Elvis did. They would have squirt gun wars and water balloon fights on set because they needed something to break up the monotony. When you're on a movie set, it's mostly hurry up and wait while the crew sets up the next scene, adjusts lighting, or the 100 of other things. Now, the producers and directors didn't care too much for Elvis's antics on set, but his attitude was, what are they going to do, fire me? I'm here to do your silly little movie, so let's have fun, basically, Elvis was always generous, trying to make it fun for the people in the movie. He could have done what so many other movie stars did and sat alone in his trailer, but he told me that if any of the other co-stars or anyone else involved with the movie ever wanted to talk to him, he would sometimes just read a few verses of the Bible with them. Even on a movie set, God's word was never far away from Elvis. It was in his heart at all times. Billy did an amazing job writing this book. We're not done with it yet. But I think it does an amazing job getting to the core, getting to the heart of Elvis. Elvis at his core was a kind person who was God-fearing. And not just God-fearing, he was, in a sense, God-celebrating. A lot of people fear God because they don't want to go to Hades, right? They don't want to be punished. Elvis didn't seem to be that type of person. He found the good in God and wanted to share that with everybody. And I think that's true Christianity in my opinion. It may or may not be in yours. I'd like to hear in the comments. But when I think of God the Father, I think that if we're a reflection of Him, and He created us, and He's our parent, basically. How would I think I would be the best parent? Yeah, you're going to have to correct the child if they're doing wrong because you don't want them to get hurt. You don't want to make a mistake. But are you going to do it violently? No, I wouldn't. So I don't think that God would either. I think that we all grow up with a different set of circumstances, with a different set of tolerances for common sense, for learning too. Some people don't learn until later in life. Some people learn when they're very young. And some people never learn, or they don't learn until the very last. And for us, we don't know what's going to happen the very last second of somebody's life, or the last 10 minutes, or the last day, or, it's easy to judge. But I think Elvis did a great job in his life, from what I'm reading with Billy, to share the love of God. The love of God, not the fear of God. TCB look forward to another conversation with Billy Stanley. It'll happen soon. I got to reach back out to him and set it up. And I know you've enjoyed it. And I appreciate him coming on here. And I know that he appreciates all of you and the love that you give to Elvis. There's only one king. That's Jesus, said Elvis up on stage. Till next time.
There's one king above all, a light that never fades, a name that we call in every prayer we say. Through every storm we face, He stands tall and true, lifts us up with His grace, shows what love can do. There's only one King, that's Jesus. Only one King that guides and frees us. Every eye closed and and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus, said Elvis up on stage. In the darkest of the nights, when hope seems all but lost, his light it shines so bright because he took up the cross. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus, said Elvis up on stage. In the darkest of the nights, when hope seems all but lost, his light it shines so bright because he took up the cross. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus, said Elvis up on stage. He gave his life for us so that we all may live. Only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus, said Elvis up on stage.